Hello and welcome to our coverage from the big one. The EWS is finally back at Crankworx Whistler. Brace yourselves, it's time for EWS Whistler. Yes, after a 2-year hiatus, we are back in the mother of all bike parks, and what a course the Crankworx team have put on for the 4th round of this year's championship. The opening stage is a Whistler Bikepark Classic, the 2.1 kilometres of the route-lined microclimate. Stage 2 pitches the racers back towards town in a tech feed zone before they get on, amazingly, the only lift of the day, back to the top of the third test, which comprises of no fewer than 4 separate trails. After that, it's one of the day's most technical stages, containing the treacherous Ride Don't Slide trail, before a climb back over to the final stage. Containing the monstrous new 1199 top section, it is the longest stage of the day, at 4.7 kilometres in length, across 5 different trails. Racing got underway yesterday afternoon with a running of that 5th stage as the pro stage. Trek's Harnden claimed a 4-second overnight lead. Self-confessed not a huge fan of Whistler's chunky bike park sends, she did what she knows best and combined superb bike handling with unrelenting power to take the win.
I really wasn't expecting it. I have to say, it was quite a messy run for me, so yeah, I just ended up trying to enjoy the bottom bit after a little bit of a messy start. Definitely a confidence booster.
Behind her, it was the pride of Canada, Adrienne Lanfey-Nadeau, ALN, taming that huge drop at the top of the 1199 and proving to her fans that they can dare to dream of that maiden win ahead of this one. Third place went to the Chilean, who now calls Whistler home, Flo Espineira. Espineira, someone we're more used to see sending it on her e-bike at the EWS but without doubt right in the hunt this weekend. In the pro men's race, Canada Day continued. Melamed threw himself down the stage to clock an extremely healthy 6-second winning margin. Melamed has won here before and was very definitely in pole position ahead of a big second day.
I wasn't super confident on, let's say, winning that stage. I knew I could put down a good run if it was a little bit eased back. The bike park's so hard to race because it's just seen so much abuse. Everything's blown out, and there's this little silty powder that makes everything slippery. So had a few close moments, near slide outs, and I had to put my foot out. But as far as bike park race stages go, it was as good as I could have hoped for. So stoked to have a good stage to start the weekend, and yeah, looking most forward to tomorrow, so I'm stoked.
Second place went to Richie Rude. Richie, the series leader, really has a battle on with Jesse in the overall points chase. Very much a danger man though here in the bike park, where he has claimed some of the most commanding victories of his career. And in third place, the champ and a racer really growing into this season with every stage race, Jack Moir, on the hunt for his first win of the season, and what a place this would be to deliver it. As the Whistler Bike Park began to cook under a particularly hot summer sun, the racers rolled out of the sliding centre and out onto one of the most iconic race courses in mountain biking. Flo Espineira, racing in her adopted backyard, was up for this one. Released from the weight of an e-bike, the Orbea rider floated through the roots of microclimate and finished third on the stage. Isabelle Courdurier proved once again that she is one of the most mentally and physically tough competitors that the sport has ever produced, and despite a foot injury suffered in Valberg at the EWS rallied her Lapierre home to second on the stage, moving herself up into second place in the overall in the process. But there was no catching Lanfey-Nadeau. Harnden could only finish 9th on the stage. ALN pounced. She put 6 seconds into the chasing pack and took control of the race in the process. Pivot's Matt Walker had finished the pro stage 4th on Saturday and was looking fast again on microclimate. Just ahead of Walker was Jack Moir, another stage, another third place for the Canyon team captain. Richie Rude knew that there was a long day ahead and a lot of work to be done to keep Melamed within touching distance, but his task was made harder on the first stage of Sunday. His win on microclimate was a chunky 4.6 seconds. It meant that he now had a lead of 10.5 seconds. Flo Espineira was third again on stage 2, clearly riding in a groove she was proving to be a difficult proposition to get past in the overall. Harnden managed it though and took a second place after what had been a shaky start to the day. Fastest though was Bex Barona, the Yeti rider, powered her way home to finish just over a second ahead of her compatriot. After the first clashes of Sunday then, here's how things stood on the road. Lanfeanado led ahead of Harnden. Couturier and Barona rounded out the top 5, just ahead of Miranda Miller, whilst Ray Morrison rounded out the top 10.
So far so good. Had a little bit of a crash on the uphill on microclimate, and then lost both my triceps shortly after. But I enjoyed it. Golden Boner's never my favorite, but I'm glad to get into the bike park now. And
I'm doing quite okay. I'm just like holding on. It's really tough. The liaisons are a bit short and my fitness level is a bit down there. So it's a tough race. Everyone knows it. So I'm just like trying to have fun and manage my energy towards the day.
I just found out I won the second stage of the day. So yeah, buzzing. Proper. Really good to just share it with the team. Like when I found out everyone was buzzing, so that's given me some good energy for the next couple of stages.
I had a bit of a slow start to the day on the first one, just kind of getting into it. It's very different to the style of the pro stage yesterday. So yeah, just taking it as it comes, and then the last stage we just did was really good. So I kind of felt like I'm getting up to speed, which is nice. So building as the day goes on, hopefully.
Yeah, no, the crowd here in Whistler is amazing. I hear a lot of familiar voices and I can sneak a hug at the bottom of most of the finishes, so that's just so special. I'm really happy, and it's definitely carrying me because I'm hurting a lot. My ankles are taped up, but I'm definitely in pain. So one stage at a time today, and I'm really hoping that it holds.
In the pro men's race, Eddie Masters was working his way back through the field after a disappointing start to the day. He came third on the stage. Richie Rude was not hanging around. That second place in last year's overall still stung, but it was now a long way behind him, and the American knew that attacking was the only way that he'd achieve his goals of a third overall crown. But he still couldn't get past Jesse. Melamed was in control of everything around him and fully in the zone. He took his third stage win on the bounce. Jesse Melamed's lead confirmed then at just over 11 seconds. A trio of Kiwis head up 4 Canadians, including Carter Krasny having the ride of his life up in 9th. Another man on the move up the rankings was Remi Gauvin.
First 2 today have been pretty tough, like physical, it's so hot. I reckon I'm about 5 bottles deep and my piss is still yellow, so if that's anything to go by, hydration is key. Yeah, pretty rough, so good enduro racing.
Had a pretty good couple runs this morning, kind of messy, but I've stayed on the track, so getting better. A fair bit of time to be made up on these, they're long stages. I suppose the one we're doing now has got a bit of bike park at the start, but yeah, it's like pretty, there's time to be lost as well because it's pretty like gnarly and hard to remember where you're going, so easy to make a mistake.
A little bit behind Jesse, so yeah, pressure's on to catch back up, and yeah, a little bit hard to give the momentum going on the weekend, but I mean, got 3 more stages today. We did 2 this morning, so kind of looking forward to it.
The third stage was the Queen stage and featured the steepest descent of the race, as well as overall points for the winners. Scotland's Ella Connolly, a race winner at EWS Tweed Valley, was back in action in Whistler, riding only weeks after breaking her elbow. She finished the toughest stage of the day in 4th. Was this to be a crucial point of the race? Adrienne Lanfeanado, the race leader, was beaten home by Isabelle Couturier. The French rider was now up 2 spots and into 2nd place in the overall, with Adrienne's lead now reduced to just 5 seconds. Harnden was now in 3rd. The stage winner was Morganne Charre, 2nd in the overall heading into this round. The French rider was coming on strong as the stages got tougher. Martin Mays and Greg Callahan both had good 3rd stages and were 3rd and 4th on the stage respectively. 2nd place went to Jack Moir, whilst Richie Rude clocked his first stage win of the race by just over 3 seconds, taking the points in the process. But where was Melamed? The answer was 8 seconds back in 9th, his first stumble of the race. With 2 stages to play for, Richie Rude was now just 3 seconds off the lead.
Flatted on 3, which is a real bummer. But thanks to the help of everybody, I have a bunch of tire plugs, and I'm actually surprised it held for that stage. So honestly, I just want to ride. I just want to be able to like finish this race. So I was most stoked that I could keep rolling, and yeah, one more stage and I'll make it through. So
what had been a close fought battle in the pro women's field got even closer on the penultimate stage. Race leader Adrienne Lamfinado was third behind Ella Connolly, but it was Morganne Charre who took the stage win. Crucially for Lamfinado, Isabelle Courdurier could only manage 8th place. That means that with one brutally long stage remaining, it was now Morganne Charre who was closest to the woman who had led right from the pro stage. But it was nail-bitingly close. On a 10-minute stage, the gap was less than 5 seconds. Harnden remained in a podium berth, but Courdurier and Espineira were in close proximity should she stumble.
It felt really hard, and I think it's the same for everyone, so it felt really messy, but I think that's just the tiredness kicking in. So I think it still went okay though, and I believe I'm still in the mix a little bit, so just one more to go, and fingers crossed. I think after yesterday, I know I can go fast, so just gotta trust my judgment and go with it.
Martin Mayes was cracking on now and growing into the race. He was third on stage 4, just ahead of Sławomir Lukasik. At the front, Jessie Melamed was under pressure. Rude lives for the big physical stages, and the biggest was just around the corner on 5. Maximum attack from Jessie on 4 was the only option to give himself as much of a buffer as possible. The plan worked. Melamed won his 3rd stage of the race ahead of his rival for both the race and the title, by a healthy margin too, nearly 7 seconds. So before that huge final stage, let's remind ourselves of how the overall was looking. It was, as we've become used to seeing this season, Melamed versus Rude at the front. The gap was good, but after a full day of racing the roughest, toughest stages of the Whistler Bikepark, Melamed had only managed to eke out 4 seconds from the relentless Rude. Moir looked more secure for a podium spot ahead of Walker. Canada was well represented in the top 10 with Evan Walter da Vinci just ahead of teammate Greg Callahan in 9th. The 5th and final stage awaited. There were 4.7 kilometres more to race, 600 vertical metres of descending, and there could only be one winner on the top of each podium. EWS Whistler was poised on a knife edge. Flo Espineira had stayed consistent all day, and a 2nd place on the final stage moved her onto the podium in 3rd. Morganne Charre was 2nd. In a day filled with drama, she had kept her nose clean and quietly set about smashing it. Time and time again we have seen just how cruel a sport enduro racing can be, and so it was to be once more for Adrienne Lamfinado. The Rocky Mountain race-face rider had suffered a puncture on the previous stage, and the repair didn't hold. Canada's heartbreak combined with a huge final stage push meant that the winner of the 4th round of the 2022 series went to Hattie Harnden. The 3rd win of her career came after a superb performance from start to finish.
I had a flat at the bottom of Ride Don't Slide. I suspect I probably had a slow leak, and then it just gave out at the bottoms. And then I just pushed in the berm before the big drop as if it was my normal pressures, and my back gave out. So it's racing.
I can't believe it. In one moment of my life I thought this moment will never come, and to make it true, after all what happened in my career, it's just I'm really grateful. I'm happy about it.
It got better and better. Yesterday I was pretty far back, and even this morning I was riding well but doing mistakes and everything, and this afternoon I just felt so good, and I really enjoyed the tracks. And
I didn't know I was in the contention after the middle of the day, so I just rode the best I could at the end, and it was enough, so yeah.
One of the performances of the day had to go to Remi Gauvin. He'd worked his way through the ranks all day and set about clocking his best result in several seasons in front of his home crowd. 3rd place on the day for Gauvin. Jack Moir also had a belter of a final stage. He took the victory and moved himself up into second place in the process. Just as drama had hit the pro women's field, it hit the pro men's. Richie Rude, the overall points leader, suffered a mechanical on the last stage. A flat, suffered in the hunt for the win, would relegate him to 44th. If you'd asked Jesse Melamed before EWS Whistler his ideal scenario, the win would have been number 1 and a decent haul of points ahead of Richie Rude in the overall would have been number 2. There was no catching Melamed. In reality, there never had been. In the end, his winning margin was 16 seconds.
And I tried to baby it, but it just kept holding, so I just was like, okay. I was really like back and forth on my pacing because I was like, oh, that's too fast, I'm gonna pull the tire off. And then I'm like, well, it held, okay, I'm gonna go again. And then it was really back, yeah, I don't know. I have like 6 tire plugs right at my bead, like I pinch flatted, and I can't believe it. Honestly, it's a miracle that thing held together. So I'm so stoked because no one wants a freaking race ruined by mechanicals. I'm bummed for Richie. Like I know he wouldn't have wanted to beat me if I flatted, so that sucks.
I'm more comfortable on the bike. I'm attacking a bit harder, and I don't know, I just had a good training block at home this last month, and we're making progress. It's good to be. I was a bit off Jesse, I think nearly 20 seconds or something, but it's good to be mixing it up with those boys.
And here are those all-important race results. Harnden takes the win. Courtourier finished an extremely commendable 4th on her way back from injury, ahead of a heartbroken Lanfia Nadeau in 5th. Connolly, Morrison and Miller rounded out the top 10. Melamed marches on in the pro men's. Walker, Masters and Lucas refuse to be separated, with 2 very happy Canadians in 8th and 9th in Werner and Menzies. And here are those pro women's points. Isabelle Courtourier, seemingly against all odds, leaves Whistler with the yellow plate. Morganne Charre remains in 2nd and Harnden is 3rd. The reigning champ Melanie Poujan's maladies continue as she remains down in 8th. Jesse Melamed has the yellow plate. Richie Rude remains 2nd, but the gap is now 295 points. Eddie Masters remains in 3rd after another solid day on the stages. Mays and Lukasic are 4th and 5th, with Rhys Werner flying high in 8th. And in the team's championship then, Pivot Factory Racing still have the lead, but it's looking increasingly slender thanks to that big day at the home office for Rocky Mountain Raceface. And that rounds up our coverage of a thoroughly dramatic return to Crankworx Whistler. The EWS circus is going to decamp overnight and head to the east coast of the USA for back-to-back rounds over the next fortnight. We'll see you next time at EWS Park. Thanks for watching.